Barrister Ezeluche, good evening. How are you?
I'm very fine. Thank you for having me.
Barristers, it's been quite a while. I hope the rain did not affect you as well.
It's cool. It's cool. It's season. So if it's rain, it's rain. It's okay.
All right. Barrister Eze, very quickly, the police is launching a manhunt for this PFIPC DG Adeyemi. In the course of the conversation this evening, so I'm going to play the former SGF's reaction to the role of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and how he was actually meant to be called into this because he's the one that supposedly is in charge of appointment letters. And in this case, it's like there were oversight functions. What I mean by oversight, he was overreading. He was not allowed to perform his role like somebody was performing his role. So the big question Nigerians are asking is why are they launching a manhunt on this man when the case is in court? The man was granted bail by the court. They're launching a manhunt when the man says that he will appear in court on the days he's meant to appear. On several outings the man has had with television stations or radio stations, the man has said that he would not respond to anything, but he's going to tender all evidence in court. So why is there an excessive manhunt on the man? Why did they arrest his father yesterday?
Well, you have to realize that the Inspector General of the Nigerian Police Force was appointed by Mr. Bola Tinubu, who is a major suspect in all these transactions. So the noise made by the police now is not unexpected. Because the reality is this: the entirety of this fraud, of this scam, came all the way from the presidency. And then Nigerians were surprised that people are mentioning the chief of staff, mentioning subordinates to the president. The box stops on the table of Mr. President. The police is just wasting its time or trying to just play to the gallery by saying they are launching a manhunt. Manhunt for who? For an appointee of government, when those who appointed him are there. All the issues, all the facts they want to know is available in government records. Why are they bothering this man? If the case is already in court, let them wait until the man shows up in court. It's on bail, for goodness sake. So, I just believe that the whole issue of the police manhunt is just to play to the gallery, to be as if the police is doing anything. Because the reality is, when this scam started, even not just the police, the EFCC, the ICPC, all the agencies of government are neck deep in this scam. They are neck deep. So the rules that the police is trying to do a manhunt for him is just to play to the gallery. Nigerians should see it for what it is. The police is just being used to do as if they're anything. The stench reaches all the way to the very top. This is a government official. The excuse that it's an illegal entity is not true. It's not true. Because if it's illegal, that means this entire government is illegal. If it's fraudulent, that means this entire government is fraudulent. Because the Prince Adeniyi went through all the facets of government. All. Is it the Senate, the House Appropriation Committee, the Auditor General of the Federation, the Chief of Staff. So why are they bothering him? The case is before the court, and let us take its course. The police have absolutely no business telling Nigerians that they're looking for this man. Absolutely not. Thank you.
All right, Barrister, we're getting a report that the Justice Sheikh Ibrahim, who served on the 2023 Presidential Election Tribunal, had a heart attack in Paris. This story came out yesterday, and we've been waiting to hear from Justice Sheikh Ibrahim's family to affirm to us that indeed he has actually passed on. And this is coming as the Presidential Committee is set to do a one-year remembrance of the passing away of late President Muhammadu Buhari. So according to Dr. Maxwell, the judge reportedly suffered a sudden heart failure after what was initially described as a minor illness, with the unexpected turn of events coming as a shock. Other reports also claimed he died from a severe head injury, but the exact cause of death has not yet been independently confirmed. So Justice Sheikh Ibrahim was a member of the tribunal that dismissed Peter Obi's petition challenging the outcome of the 2023 presidential election, a ruling that generated widespread public debate. Before now, there was also another report we heard, although the family had said that we should not pay attention to that. That one of the judges who also sat on that panel at the tribunal, which indicated or affirmed the win of the president, went blind. But the thing is, there have been different reaction to this particular story when it came on board. Some persons were saying possibly there's karma. Different narratives came on concerning this. The big question is, some of the judges are actually quite old, and anything could have happened. So why are Nigerians very keen as to what happens to those who presided during the tribunal in 2023 that overrode some contestants' petition against the win of President Bola Tinubu?
Well, it's rather sad. I mean, we should commiserate with anybody who loses a family member. People die, and most of these judges are already above, lived longer than the average lifespan of the Nigerians, which is in the 40s. These judges are more usually in their 60s or beyond. So I do not think that whether they die now or they go blind now or whatever is an issue. And let Nigerians stop thinking in that way. The reality is this: if we feel that the judicial system is wrong or the judges are doing wrong, the reaction should be immediate. Do not wait until when they die of old age or they fall blind and whatever, or they fall sick and all and say that is God is rewarding them. No. If you feel that the system is rotten, you react immediately. So if indeed this judge is dead, I commiserate with the family, because it's sad to lose any loved one, to lose the head of the family. I mean, but it should not be related. It should not be said to be because of what they did or the judgments, the judgments they were part of. After all, the current Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kekereku, was the judge who read the lead judgment that brought Hope Uzodinma as governor of Imo State wrongly. When I say wrongly, because this man was the fourth, and then he just did without any reason, no rationale. So is it that when Kekereku now falls sick, we will say it was the cause of the judgment? No. If Nigerians feel anything about the judgment, they should react immediately. And they are really old, and they have lived long enough. If anything happens to the judge, I commiserate with the family, and I hope that they recover. Because the ideal thing is that when these judges do wrong, they should be made to face the consequences. Death or going blind by natural causes is not a consequence. Nigeria should evolve to a state whereby when wrongs are done, the people enjoy or they regret the consequences while they are alive. We should stop being superstitious. When people are living long enough, they are open to fall for this opportunistic infection, whether it's blindness or stroke or whatever. And it's not as a result of whatever they did when they were younger.
But Barrister, you know that Nigeria's judicial system is facing a staggering crisis of credibility. I mean, public trust has deteriorated to the point where citizens increasingly bypass traditional courts for alternative platforms. The crisis is driven by commodified justice, systemic delays, nepotism, conflicting judgments, as we have seen lately. In fact, ever since this administration commenced, and the centralization of disciplinary powers within the National Judicial Council. There are even accusations on the NJC, on the NBA as well, of aiding all of this and not quickly calling out all of the discrepancies observed within our judicial sector. So, I mean, does it surprise you if Nigerians hear any negative connotation or negative happening to any of the judges whom they feel are enabling the rot in the system?
It does not surprise me, but my take is this. The average lifespan of a Nigerian man is about 42, but for women it's like 47. So these judges are old enough, most of them are in their 60s. We should stop this equation of ill health with what they did. Nigerians should learn that their destiny is in their own hands. If they feel aggrieved with judgment, judicial pronouncement, or forcing of people as elected leaders by judges, there should be immediate reaction. This whole idea of always saying when they fall sick is because of what they did, it is not true. I mean, we have to rise above that superstition. We have to be more direct, and that's what happens in other countries. In Indonesia, in other countries where people react against bad judicial judgments, they don't claim that those judges were old or they fell sick or that God was punishing them. We should react immediately. Like I keep on saying, I commiserate. If indeed this judge is there, I commiserate with his family. I do not relate with what happened to him as a cause or a consequence of his judicial pronouncement. We should be above superstition, and that is the problem of Nigeria. We always give everything over to God, our so-called God that will act in our behalf. No, God does not do that. If you feel that something is wrong, you act immediately. Because and when we begin to do that, then those who are sitting as judges will behave themselves. But as long as we keep on saying God will take care, He will take care, then they will live up to 80 years. Then when an 80-year-old man has stroke or goes blind, he says he's getting the judgment for what he did 20, 30 years ago. That is not true. I'm sorry for that. Thank you.
All right, let's look at the political interference being done by the courts, barrister. For example, the situation with this Prince Adeyemi and Bajabiamila, the chief of staff to the president. There are talks that, yes, this case is in court, but there are fears that it may favor the chief of staff against this man. Now, there are pictures, actually, of this man with the vice president, Kashim Shettima. There are pictures of this man with Benjamin Kalu, the House of Reps Speaker. There are pictures of this man with top senators, all right, within that presidential council. This man has met with them. He has held diplomatic meetings. He has invited a lot of them into global conferences where they discuss on how to get foreign and investment opportunities, with Nigeria, coupled with the salaries, coupled with staff in that agency. Now, the big question is this. If already Nigerians are deducing that the courts will be used to mutilate the process and do what due diligence should be followed, then again, why do you think that there will not be questions specifically with judgments that come from the court, especially now that the 2027 election approaches? Nigerians are literally afraid that the courts may actually hoodwink the outcome of the elections.
Thank you very much. My dear, when we have a president who had previously paid or forfeited $450,000 to the U.S. government for trafficking-related offenses, and he appoints a Senator Adeyemi who was disbarred, that sacked from practicing law in the state of Georgia for fraud-related offenses. The reality is we have allowed ourselves to be ruled by characters who don't need to rule over us. So all these things are part of what we should expect from the regime headed by these characters. I don't know when Nigerians are surprised at what is going on. And I assure Nigerians that this issue of this Prince Adeyemi is just a tip of the iceberg. That is why a government that claims that all its agencies, is it the immigration, is it the customs, everybody is bringing in more funds than was projected. Yet the government is borrowing more and more millions from foreign quarters. What does that tell you? It tells you that Nigeria is a capital state, that whatever these characters, this is just the beginning. We thank God for this revelation. For those who were thinking that something would be something proper or something right will come from this Bola Tinubu regime, it has not dawned on them that there is a systemic fraud, systemic corruption, of which virtually every arm of the government is involved in it. Is it the police? Is it the PFIPC? Is it the judiciary? Is it the National Assembly? They are all implicated in this. So why are we surprised? Like they say, the fish rots from the head. The reality is that we have a system, we have what is called a kakistocracy, the government of our worst. Nigerians should realize this and stop being surprised. I don't know why the people are saying that they're surprised with what is happening. I only pray for this Prince Adeyemi because he will most likely not have his day in court. I wouldn't be surprised if the Funshaw Williams treatment is visited upon him. I wouldn't be surprised if we are told tomorrow that he was trying to cross the road and a car crushed over him. Or that maybe a snake beat him, like snake swallows money in this country. Because the reality is this, he has played along. He has tried to expose a system that is very, very corrupt. This one would be said from the onset. And Nigerians should not be surprised because there are worse issues than this Prince Adeyemi's case. Even in the budget allocation, he only got 1.3 billion.
Yes.
My dear, that is not the issue. There are agencies that have gotten 5, 10, 20 billion that are just looting pipes to loot funds from the system. That's what we should be concerned about. And not issues like the police on a manhunt. Manhunt for who?
Manhunt for the man.
Yes, the people you should be looking for are already, you know where they are. They're in the State House, they're in the chief of the presidency, they're in National Rock, they're in the central bank, that approved for an account to be opened for this agency. I mean, you don't bother, you don't need to do a manhunt when you have the criminals already at your beck and call. But what is the issue? The issue is that every part of the government of Nigeria that should be charged with checkmating this rascality in governance are people who are appointed by Bola Tinubu. And he made sure he put in his cohort at every sphere. Now the issue is, how do we as Nigerians losing ourselves from this bondage? Because we must losing ourselves to be able to see the light of day. Is it the IE of police? Is it the chairman of the EFCC? Is it the director of the DSA? Is it the chief justice of Nigeria? These are all appointees of the Bola Tinubu who are supposed to checkmate rascality in governance. And they cannot. Because you know who appointed them? It's sad, man. It's really, really sad. But I hope Nigerians understand this and that there must be an end to this for us to be able to live, to survive the next couple of months. Thank you very much.
All right, Barrister, I want us to quickly take a listen to this. The reason is that there are roles for each person appointed in the presidency. In all of this, the core responsibility, which is like the engine room that runs the presidency, is the secretary to the government of the federation. When it comes to appointments, when it comes to letters written, it comes from the office of the government, of the secretary to the government of the federation. He writes almost all the itinerary required of every staff. Every staff in the presidency gets their letters from the SGF before it's not given to the president to either minute on it or not minute on it or question it, but either ways from the SGF's office to the presidency. In this entire saga, that man's name is off it. We're talking about George Akume. His name is not there. He didn't quickly respond to it. You would have thought that he would have been the one to respond to this, but instead, it's the president chief of staff that did. And then the next person who defended was Mr. Bayo Nananga, the spokesperson to the president. So the hierarchy in government, a lot of protocols were jumped over. So let's listen to a former secretary to the government of the federation giving us details of how this thing works, or the protocols involved, and how the setting of this administration is. Just very briefly, sir.
Executive presidential system of government, where whether or not you are allowed to do your duties depends on who occupies the topmost position. Some SGFs are just there to occupy the position while the authority is removed from them and given to some personal crony of the president. If the president's method is like that, fine. But in our own case, the president allowed me to do my job completely. Apart from coordinating the activities of government, part of it is appointments. The final approval lies with the president, but the appointment recommendations normally come through the office of the SGF, who puts up a memo to the president, and when the president approves, he sends this memo back to the SGF to issue appointment letters or to look for an alternative. But there are some processes where somebody else, like let's say somebody, the president's former classmate in primary school, will come in the house and say, Muhammadu, that boy, that young chap that was born while we were in Abaleki barracks, is now a grown-up man and he wants a job. Please, could you help get him a job? In that case, it doesn't come through the SGF. The president will just minute to the SGF, please appoint. If there's a specific appointment position, he'll say appoint as this and this. Or he'll just say look for an appointment. In that case, the SGF will search for a vacancy, write a memo to the president, he will approve. In either case, the SGF is in the middle. He issues the appointment letters.
Right. So the SGF's office is often described as the engine room of the government.
Yes.
Is it realistic that correspondence from an agency that allegedly did not legally exist could be received, processed, and forwarded? Apologies for that. Is it possible that it could be received, processed, and forwarded without somebody asking in the SGF's office exactly who are these people?
No, if it's done that way, it means there's a dereliction of duty on the side of the SGF. If it were me, what I would do with that correspondence is to minute it down to one of the permanent secretaries, generally the permanent secretary, GSO, General Services Office, to treat. And what he treats is, in treating that, he locates in our own time, he will locate the file of the agency, and he will go through the processes of appointment. The act setting of that agency would sometimes say the position has to be advertised and interviewed and shortlisted, names sent to the president for approval. Some just president just approves. So the AGM will go through the file, and in that process of due diligence, we'll be able to find out whether such organization exists, because then there will be no record for it in the SGF's office, so he will raise a red flag on it.
Right.
What we used to do is, if there's a new agency that either the president or one minister proposes to handle some specific assignments or duties, he will first of all raise a memo to the president, who will approve that such be created. And then a memo will be sent to the Federal Executive Council on that particular agency, and we will debate it. Now, sometimes it will require some legislation to give that agency legal mandate to operate, some to just be within the presidential approval, and then the agency is created. Because really, you cannot appropriate funds to an agency that has not been legislated for. I mean, there has to be a legal basis for its existence. But first of all, it is the executive that raises such agency, makes the proposal, debates it, and the Attorney General of the Federation will normally put an opinion on it, and then if the Federal Executive Council approves, it's sent to the legislature for legal establishment.
So, Barrister Eze Uche, I had to call it short because it's still quite lengthy. He said quite a lot. Did you hear all the processes it's involved for all of the agencies that are supposedly under the Federal Executive Council? And the fact that for any of the agencies established, it actually has the signature of the president assented to it. Does this not indict everyone? The SGF, the president, the chief of staff, the spokesperson, does this not indict everyone, including the Senate, the legislators? You heard all the processes involved to establish an agency, monies allocated, even the Minister of Justice.
Thank you very much. I think you just hit the nail on the head. That is why some of us believe that this so-called manhunt for the Prince Adeyemi is a waste of time. It's a ruse. The reality, and I have said it from the onset, rather than waste time to look for people who have escaped or whatever, the culprits are still in the offices. They are still being moved around Abuja with sirens and police protection. From what the former Secretary of the Federal Government has said, it's clear that everything is a systemic fraud. It's not an individual. You cannot just mention one or, like I saw some articles where they were mentioning individuals. You don't mention one or two names who signed letters in the SGF's office or in the Auditor General's office. It is a systemic fraud that tells you that the Nigerian government under Mr. Bola Tinubu is a crime scene. It's a living crime scene, an active crime scene, where all the elements are incorporated and they're working seamlessly. What Nigerians should be thankful for is that somehow sharing formula has exposed the rot. Because from Prince Adeyemi, there was an issue of where to give 40-something% of the budgeted amount of the agency to a particular person. That is what made these things all available. The reality is that all the system is geared towards the Nigerian state. Governance, the government of Nigeria under Bola Tinubu has become a siphon, a conduit to rob Nigerians. And all efforts should be made to ensure that this does not continue. That's why mentioning individuals, is it the Appropriation Committee of the Senate or the House? Is it the Central Bank of Nigeria that opened an account for them? Is it your general that approved 300 staff members for these characters, for this crime? Or is it the Onanuka that kept on talking a lot of nonsense, trying to implicate the man, telling us about the Sunday school or the university education of this? That is not the issue. The issue is that there is a living fraud going on in government, that the Nigerian government has become a laughing stock globally. And that is traceable to the root cause, to the president, because he has tried to remain silent as if he doesn't concede. That is not true. Everything, Mr.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir. Continue, please.
Yes. All these, the box stops on the table of Mr. Bola Tinubu, he cannot feign ignorance. But sadly for Nigeria, we have a rubber stamp National Assembly by President Abbas heading the House and Gucci Lapabio heading the Senate. The characters who cannot even question anything in government. I mean, there's no vote because they are all part of this scam. And I just must realize this. So all these collectors looking at these issues from one angle, that is the central bank that approves the... No. Everything is in one form. And as the Secretary of the Government has said, the person responsible is Mr. Bola Tinubu. The call for resignation should not be of Mr. Adeyemi because he's acting based on instructions by Bola Tinubu, for goodness sake. The person that should be held accountable for all this is Mr. Tinubu. And shamelessly, this same character is taking off back to rule Nigeria again. What is wrong with this country? And some people are jumping up and saying that supporting him, supporting crime, supporting falsehood, supporting illegality. And we didn't want to be respected or taken serious by other countries. It's a real shame. And like I said, like I keep on saying, and you have noticed that so far, Mr. Luka Ode of the EFCC has kept quiet.
Yes.
As if it doesn't bother him. The head of the DSS has kept quiet. As if it doesn't bother him. But these are elements, these are part of the same scam. The EFCC guy would have been jumping up and down to go and harass students in university.
I mean, they said that Adeyemi took pictures with Mr. Oluyede, the EFCC chairman. He took pictures with him as well. That's what is surprising, how they will say this is a fake agency, that everyone was supposedly aligned with it.
I would rather say Nigerians should pray for this Prince Adeyemi, because I believe that they won't allow him to live. Sadly, I somehow believe they won't, because he has exposed their wrath. And when in a mafia-like environment, you don't survive that environment. So when the police say they are going to look for him and all that stuff, you just know that they want to. I mean, most likely he will be eliminated. But what I suspect will happen very soon is in a not too long time, there will be a mega kidnap or abduction of school children. Or there will be something that they will do just to divert
Nigerians'
our
attention
from the reality. Yes. But we must not allow this to happen. Because the kidnapping of school children is one of their stock in trade. And this has happened from the Chibok to the one in Katsina. There will be something that will be done to shake the polity. And they don't give a damn about the students who are involved on life's law, as long as they cover their ass. And we should tell them that we have seen through this scam, and this must not be allowed. At this stage now, even the INEC chairman has got a part of this scam, because all these agencies are correlated. They went through the system, they were approved. He even wrote, this same Adeyemi invites the diplomatic community and they attend. Perhaps the Foreign Affairs Ministry was not even part of this scam. That's why they had to start writing letters to ask who is this person that is now inviting ambassadors. But the reality is this. This is a government rooted in fraud. This is a government that incidents in fraud. And there's nothing that they can do about it. They can't even help themselves. And maybe the police, when they get this man, I'm sure they will knock him off. Thank you very much.
Well, Barrister, it's quite unfortunate what we're what we're experiencing. I don't know how to define the kind of democracy that will operate here. I really don't know how to define it, Barrister. But
what democracy? Please don't insult the word democracy by saying what we have in Nigeria is democracy. We don't have a democracy in Nigeria. We are pretending to have a democracy. The votes don't count. The people who should not even contest elections are contesting and winning. Mr. Rabio, Senate President, has no business being in the Senate. I mean, so what are we talking about democracy? We leave the world things are fooling themselves. We shouldn't fool ourselves in this country. Look at what happened in the last election. Last Ekiti election. Is that a democracy? What we have is judocracy. When the courts decide who will rule over us. That was how this same Supreme Court brought our first 10 Bola Tinubu as our president. Did he win elections? Was he supposed to even contest elections based on his certificate? So let us not abuse the word democracy by referring to Nigeria. We don't run a democracy. Thank you very much.
Wow. Barrister, if we don't run a democracy, would we be having this conversation? Would we be talking like this?
No, yes, we do. Even in the worst of the dictators, they do allow some elements, but we know that it's only a matter of time before they begin to clamp down on people who express their views, because they are just pretending to be like democracy to deceive the world. But in a not too long time, this government will become very draconian, and they will do what they want to do.
In other words, you're saying if they happen to return in the second, in the next electoral cycle, that they would clamp down on expressions, or they'll be worse in terms of expressions?
With what President Adeyemi is exposing them for now, they will not even wait for that long. They will start earlier. They will start earlier, and like all draconian regimes, they will become more brutal. We know that. But the reality is why people across are still talking is this. Whether you talk or you don't talk, we are all bound to die one day. But we have to say the truth, and the truth must be said. This is not a democracy. Thank you very much.
Well, Barrister Eze Eluche, we'll take a very short break, Barrister, very